The entire city shut down for hours. This is 51-year-old Brian Nichols. He is known for the infamous escape and killing spree in the Fulton County Courthouse in March of 2005. This story takes place in Atlanta, Georgia, also known as the main hub for Delta Airlines. Brian Nichols was originally from Baltimore, Maryland. His life was like any normal middle-class family in America. Brian graduated from Cardinal Gibbons High School and went on to attend Kutztown University in Pennsylvania. There he was an outstanding athlete. He played football and was also very popular. But things would slowly turn for the worse. Brian continuously got arrested on and off campus for numerous offenses. He dropped out and eventually moved down to Atlanta, Georgia, where he got a job at UPS. Brian Nichols was on trial for the brutal rape of his ex-girlfriend. He was angry that she had moved on with her life to better herself. Brian had broken into her home, bound her with duct tape, and sexually assaulted her. Cynthia Hall, a 51-year-old sheriff's deputy, was assigned to guard Brian on the day of the trial. On the day of the escape, she was urged to have extra deputies assigned to help her, but she refused. She said she had gained her trust in Brian. Down sound too. Down sound too, right? Me. On the morning of the trial, Brian was escorted into a holding cell area where he could change into his civilian clothes for trial. While taking Brian's handcuffs off, Brian attacked the deputy. He punched her in the face multiple times, retrieved her keys, stole her gun from the gun lock box, and escaped the holding cell area. That's when Brian would do the unthinkable. Brian somehow managed to get into the chambers of Judge Roland Barnes' office. Inside were two case managers and an attorney on Brian's case. He held all three at gunpoint while questioning the whereabouts of Judge Barnes. He then encountered Sergeant Grantley White. White attempted to overpower Nichols, but failed and was also held at gunpoint. Nichols then locked the group in a nearby restroom and proceeded to the courtroom where Judge Barnes was. Brian then shot and killed Judge Roland Barnes. He then looked for the assistant district attorney over his case, but couldn't find him. So instead, he turned the gun on a court reporter in the courtroom and shot and killed her also. Nichols then exited the courtroom and ran out of the courthouse through an emergency exit. Sergeant Hoyt Teasley came across Brian Nichols in the same staircase that he used to exit the courthouse. Nichols noticed the officer following him and proceeded to shoot at him twice, hitting him once. Sadly, Sergeant Teasley did not survive his injuries. Nichols then proceeded to shoot into the air, causing complete chaos for the area. He then ran into a parking deck where he stole the first car out of 5 that he would steal for the day. Around 5 p.m. that day, Governor Sonny Perdue issued a $65,000 reward to anyone with information leading to Brian Nichols' arrest. The city of Atlanta went into a virtual lockdown. Hundreds of police swarmed the city, setting up roadblocks and cutting off all major intersections. Noticing all the commotion, Brian decided to take the MARTA train miles away to Buckhead. There he attempted to rob several people and seek of money. Around 10 p.m., Brian runs into U.S. ICE agent David Weldon. He then ambushes David, shoots and kills him, and steals his car. Around 2 a.m., Brian finds Ashley Smith returning to her apartment from the gym. Nichols then forces his way into her apartment and binds her with duct tape. Smith tried to convince Brian for hours to let her go free, praying with him and talking to him about God. Eventually, Brian calms down and he decides to untape Ashley. The next morning, Ashley follows Brian in her car to get rid of the pickup truck that he had stolen the previous day. And even though she had her phone the entire time, she never decided to call the police on Brian. That's a real one right there. Can't even lie. It's a real one. When they returned to her apartment, Ashley decided to cook breakfast for Brian and pray for him one more time before he let her go. Ashley leaves the apartment, and even though she felt guilty, she decided to call the police and let them know that Brian was inside her home. Ashley wrote a book called Unlikely Angel, which recounts the entire horrific moments for her. Around 9:50 a.m., Nichols was located inside the apartment. SWAT teams surrounded the entire apartment complex, and eventually, Nichols surrendered without harm. Nichols was taken into custody and charged with over 55 counts, including murder, a robbery, and kidnapping. On December 13, 2008, Brian Nichols was sentenced to over 150 years in prison. May the families of the victims continue to keep their names alive, and we send our deepest